speaking when you see the YouTube icon in the top left.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Digital Experience Group Conversation. It is June 17th. We shared the slides and we shared a video, so I'm not going to go through all that. Just excited to welcome a couple new people to our team, and really excited about the work we have going on. Just to set it up, we work on a quarterly plan. So basically 2 days ago, we were halfway through the quarter, so that's why you're seeing a lot of coming soon stuff. We're making some really great progress, and we wanted to give everyone eyes on what's going on. So first up, I see Jeff with a question. Jeff, you on? Don't see him. So Jeff's asking about slide 10, saying congrats on the significant improvements on the pricing page, 18, 50, and 60% increases. What were some of the changes your team implemented that improved conversion on this page? So that's been a really fun body of work. We've been collaborating with Sid and Scott primarily, and their teams as well. So I'd say the main things we've done that have led to that improvement is a fundamental shift in the way we were communicating the difference from the tiers. So when we first started working on it, what we had was a list of features, and it's like, these are the features. And I know Sid recommended this quite a long time ago. What about switching to benefits? So yes, let's talk about the features, but let's phrase them in a way that communicates the benefit that the potential customer gets. So Scott and his team did some really great work on making themes, and we implemented that. That was a huge lift. That's what those numbers specifically came from. And prior to that, what we had done is applied the design system and the new design language that we'd been working on a few quarters ago. And we just saw by making it easier to consume the page, we saw really big improvements as well. So simple things like making it visually obvious that free you get less, and ultimate is like, let's talk about how much more you get. So just by looking at it, you can understand that one is better than the other. And on to Jeff's second comment. So it's talking about slide 5, Netlify CMS. So how much of the site is currently powered by Netlify? Do you have any stories or metrics around how Netlify has made it easier to manage content on the site? So the first one, how much is currently powered? Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is we've got blog and we've got topics. We're working on an amazing events template that every event at GitLab can use. That's built in and ready to go. That's been a huge lift that has had our entire engineering team working on it. But it looks amazing. Is there anything else I'm missing there, Lauren?
Type form landing pages as well.
Oh, cool.
And there's also, you have the slide about the comparison pages. The data for the top level infographic, once we push that, will also, it is currently in Netlify CMS. It just doesn't do anything on the front end yet.
And the entire solutions section is in progress for this quarter as well.
Yes, we have more and more coming. So stories, onto the stories part of that question. Metrics is tough. We're moving so fast, and metrics, our instrumentation, we all know we're working on it. So we're posed with the question, like, we know what success looks like. Do we want to put the work in to get the success metrics set up, or do we want to keep moving forward and deliver something that's going to empower our fellow GitLab team members? And we've prioritized just getting stuff out. One thing that I've seen before that is happening right now is we really prioritize the work that comes through that our potential customer or our users see. And we forget that our customers and users are also the people who are using the CMS. So I see a lot of opportunity on the admin side to make things more pleasurable to use. I do believe that the people who are making the content are just as important customers as ours as the people who are consuming the content. And I think if the content creators are happy and having an easy time and able to express their ideas in the most amazing way, that's going to be felt by our potential customers and lead to business value. Lauren, I saw you put a point in there too in 2A. Did you want to speak to that?
Yep, we got a handbook page. It has everything you need to know about accessing it, editing content, what's available, and that is going to be updated all the time. And every time we add a new content type, it'll show up there. Keep an eye on that page.
And Danielle, I see you've got a question, comment, elaboration in 2F.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe not everyone here knows about some of the recent conversations around instrumentation and the wins there. So just maybe if you could share a bit more about what that is and also just how your team is expecting to benefit in terms of like how you can make UX better.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. So Sindhu's been driving the instrumentation, and Danielle has been driving the looking back and understanding what decisions have been made and what can we do going forward, honoring and respecting the things that we've said as a company. So I feel like we're in a really good place. And we're working with Justin Ferris, who is on the fulfillment side. We're working with Gila and Sam, who are on the product growth side. And our three groups are kind of that through line for a customer. You know, like someone comes in through inbound, they have a problem, they want to understand, does GitLab solve the problem? Our job in digital experience is to explain the benefits, educate them on what we can provide them and how we'll solve the problem. Then in my mind, we hand them off to Justin to go through fulfilling, converting them into either a trial or a customer. And then they're handed off to Sam's team in the product to be onboarded and be set up for success. So things we're missing right now is understanding from a data perspective, like what any of that looks like. And then specifically on our team, our funnel isn't set up right. Like it's really, really hard for us to dive into the data and see, oh, this, like when I think of a conversion, it's not necessarily just money left one person's wallet and went into someone's bank account. A conversion to me is equally important, is understanding who came from homepage to pricing page, click this button, did this. We don't have these metrics set up. So being a lean team, it's super effective. And what makes us even more effective is having that data layer that we can look at and say, okay, if we put our limited resources on X and we see a 0.04% increase in conversion, that leads to an absolute value of 300 more people going through versus, oh, if they go on Y and we see a 50% increase, that's only 3 more people. So kind of trying to take that smoke and mirrors of percentages and relate that to absolute values and where we're going to have the biggest impact.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking. And you've got number 3.
Yep. So I know we're all very bummed to see Brandon go. If anybody here didn't know, unfortunately, Brandon Lyons' last day was last week on Friday. He's a wonderful team member and we're very excited for him in his next role. But I thought it would be cool to hear about your hiring philosophy and how you're going to apply it to backfilling the role, because it's obviously a super important role.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question. I don't know if I've ever had it come out of my head. I just kind of have it rolling in my head. So I appreciate the opportunity to answer it on the fly. I feel like hiring the groups at a certain point, it doesn't make a lot of sense to hire juniors. Senior level people, we can get things done quickly. We understand without the data and support of a larger team, you have the experience to know what matters. What is that 20% that actually leads to move the needle. So I'm not currently looking for junior people to grow within the team. I would love for our team to get to that point because I think that's a great way to encourage and grow talent. And currently what we have set up is half of our team is on contract. So kind of running a little business within GitLab. It's literally an agency where with the contract people, I don't get help from HR. So I actually have to do all the sourcing and everything through my own network and our group's networks, find people, explain to them how awesome this opportunity is, bring them on. And what's awesome about that is with Brandon leaving, we have people on our team who are contract who are already amazing. They are familiar with our tech stack. They're ramped up most of the way. I think one thing that's a little lacking with contractor onboarding is the culture element of onboarding as a contractor. Obviously, it makes sense. Like, I don't think it's wrong, but I do find a lot of that like day-to-day explaining like how we work at GitLab, why it's important, why it works, falls a lot on the full-time team members. But the benefit is right now we have someone to talk to, and we don't have to, you know, work with a sourcer and work with Steph, our recruiter, and spend more time and money finding options. So it's working. But of course, kind of leading into your next question about what roles are we hiring for now, you know, headcount, like what is the future vision? Getting this team bigger so that we can effectively support everything that's being asked of us is, you know, my hopes and dreams right now. Because, for example, doing our bi-weekly sprint cadence on the pricing page, we're seeing amazing results. Supporting that just on that page with the amount of pages that we support on the marketing site is really challenging. So we're having to like not do stuff to support that. We see the wins, it's totally worth it. But growing the team, that's paramount to me.
Thanks. And then I guess just the other question is, if you hire out of your contractor pool to fill Brandon's role, which is really awesome, like you said, you've already sourced and ramped someone wonderful that we want to have at GitLab long term. Will you hire another contractor and kind of continue to refill that pool, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's the plan. So it's interesting. I don't know if this is related to digital experience or just bigger. I'd say 8 months ago, you know, if we're in this situation, if I had posted the, you know, message on LinkedIn, hey, I'm looking for a front-end engineer, I have 2 roles open. I did that on Monday. If this was 8 months ago, by now, 4 days later, I would have had 6 people reply at least who are very, very strong options. I think because the pandemic's subsiding and things are opening up and the job, you know, people looking for work and people are hiring is hyper aggressive, I've had no one respond. So, you know, I kind of have that phrase in my head, you know, what worked in the past may not work now or may be more challenging. And as long as, you know, we understand that as a group, that I was able to do this and run this little business before, it's now a lot harder. But the goal is to refill that pool. Also say to the question, like, what other roles are we hiring? It's just this role. But I appreciate your comment on what the vision is. I have a couple things I can, let me just find it here. So there's 2 things I can share to kind of share that vision. So I have this is might be coming through fairly small, but this is a slice of what we support right now on digital experience. And you'll notice there's no hierarchy, there's no grouping, and the downsides are commented there. So it's not efficient, it doesn't scale, and there's a lack of priority. What I would love to see, so this is getting even smaller, so apologies, but I would love to see us similarly on product group the pages that drive results into product teams. So what we're seeing here is effectively 4 product teams, so conversion, product marketing, corporate marketing, and search and nav, and then having data reporting and analytics and a site reliability and infrastructure team, which we don't currently have. And involved in that would be growing into an org that looks a little bit more like this, where we actually have product managers and technical product owners or engineering managers that are product teams supporting those bodies of work.
Michael, for those of us, like, I don't think I've seen an org chart that big in this sense, because this is one of the bigger companies that I've worked in. To be totally transparent, I've always worked in smaller startups. So can you just help us understand like what's normal in the broader world? Like, I know you were at Lululemon and that was a much bigger team, but I just have no sense of what normal looks like. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been on big teams. I love big teams. You can do a lot with scrappy, lean teams for sure, but you can do huge things with big teams if you have the right people in place. I think that first slide that I shared, which is basically growing our team from 5 full-time to about 24, would be average. You know, I'd love to hear from Harsh on like what were the teams like at Atlassian that supported this. And yeah, I think it opens up the opportunity to start to build systems and allowing the computers do the things that they're really good at, which is no touch sales, which is huge for us. So to me, that midway point actually looks small. Usually what you would have, the ratio in my head that I've built, what my vision is 2 front-end engineers to every 1 full stack engineer, to every 1 product designer, to half a UX researcher, half a data scientist. Then you'd have 1 product engineer, or sorry, engineering manager, and then this is kind of a weird one, but like an 1/8 of a product manager.
Got it. And then, you know, thinking about how big we are at like roughly, I don't know, I'm just to say it, so you know how big we are. So imagine our company kind of doubling, like how you don't go from 5 to 25 overnight. So like how do you think about how that plays out over time?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because that's experience talking. If you don't have the experience, you think you get greenlit for these roles, and you're like, great, we'll have them in their seats tomorrow. And then you realize, like, if today someone said, whoa, that's a great plan, hire those people, I would not be confident that they'd all be sitting and ramped by December. But it takes time to build that. And then the growth after that into the fully resourced team would be more towards 38 people, which I think would be a fiscal year 2023 goal. That if we were, you know, let's say Feb 1, Q1 of next fiscal year is like, yeah, we've got the funding. I'd say it'd be 8 to 10 months before that whole plan is executed, and then we're actually able to deliver that value. But, you know, people show up. You never know how easy it goes to find people. And yeah, as long as you're hiring in the right order, like I think right now we have a good balance. I think we're a little light on engineers, and that was by plan. I brought on more designers to start with because we needed to build the design system, which is very design heavy, and we're seeing the value of that every week. You know, on whenever this popped up 2 days ago, when Harsh needed a landing page for GitLab 14, if we hadn't had you, Danielle, prioritize that, and I know play a lot of defense for us to deliver that, the answer would be a lot different than, yeah, we can make that happen by Friday. It would have just been I don't know, like, I guess maybe we'll work 36 hours in a row because we want to like help people, but because we have it, it's great. So we're at the point where we have that stood up. It's not at version 1.0. It's not perfect, but it's serving our needs. So adding some more engineers, because the design team now can work so quickly, that's sort of our block.
I think I have the next one too. And thank you for that explanation. That really helps. I don't think even you and I have talked about the phased part. So it's really cool to hear the way you're thinking about it. We would all be so excited to get those talented people on your team someday. Let's see. Oh, we've been talking a lot more lately about how to make sure we're putting customers front and center in everything we do. I was curious, if you didn't have any resource constraints, since obviously it sounds like that's a factor right now, what are 2 or 3 things that you'd support doing to make that more visible in the digital experience?
I love that question. So in that realm, without the constraint of customers front and center, the first thing I would do is personalization. We would lean into that from crawl, walk, run. We would just start implementing as little as we can and grow that as fast as possible. From there, I would love to move into something like, how would I describe it? Like, I would be having on every page on tab to give the current users an option to open up and give us feedback. So we have direct customer feedback, ideally tied to a session replay tool. So if they're saying, I would just like listening apparatus so that we can understand what's important to our customer. And then of course, the data analytics, instrumentation, those 3 things would really open us up to be user-centric or customer-centric and understanding what matters to our customer and making those experiences better.
Did somebody start asking a question? No. Okay. Sorry, I thought I saw that. Okay, last one for me. So did I miss the one where I said, "Hey, congrats on your 1 year"? Oh my gosh, we have to talk about that. So yeah, congrats on your 1 year anniversary. I think that was a week ago.
Yeah, last Monday.
Okay. So of all of our cultural values, which one's been the most meaningful to you in the past year and why?
I love that question. It's changed throughout the year. You know, that this is one thing that I think is amazing about our values is they're all real. Like none of them are just there so that maybe someone reads it in a pitch deck and says, "Oh, okay, that sounds nice." The iteration value is one that I hold near and dear because I know it's the hardest for everyone. Even when people think or believe that they have it figured out, something's going to pop up that's going to always put pressure against that, whether it's timelines or, you know, whatever it is. And extending that to iterating on team and kind of, you know, you've given me a lot of really excellent coaching and guidance to continue to play big. So something like talking about this team growth over this fiscal year and next fiscal year, or our quarterly plan, you know, we have a bi-weekly sprint cadence and we make a sprint plan on a Monday. The next Wednesday we meet and we say, okay, how much are we delivering? And we release. Iterating that way is awesome. And then doing that on a quarterly scale. So I love that. Also, not necessarily one of our specific values, but just the amount that GitLab supports the individual to progress and learn is very meaningful to me. I have a growth mindset and I'm always interested in getting better. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, and then the last one, what do you think will be one of the biggest challenges for GitLab in the next 12 to 18 months? And how do you think your team is going to help address that challenge?
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, I'm going to skip over this big change in the world and work right now. I think just not necessarily for GitLab, I think one of the biggest challenges for companies as a whole is going to be this: the world is opening up. People are coming back out of this gigantic fear state of unknowing, and now they're thinking, okay, well, that really woke me up. Am I happy? Where should I be? What company is going to support me? So I think that's not specific to GitLab. And I think specifically to us, I think we've gone really far, maybe even past the point where, you know, to me, it makes sense. I'm sure on a balance sheet, it continues to make sense, but we're working blind. We're not listening very well to potential customers. We're not able to look at data and make data-informed decisions easily. We're kind of in that state where we need to level up from, okay, it looks good and it's flashy, to, hey, we made this thing and it led to X amount of revenue. That's good, or that's not good. Let's stop doing that.
Thank you.
Nicole, I see you with number 10 there. We have 1 minute.
I don't think this can get answered synchronously, so it might be better async. It's about trials for people who already have a free account and exactly who is eligible.
I think you mean the in-product trial sign up. And I don't think, Michael, unless you know, I think Sam Awazek would be the right person to check with.
Yeah.
I don't know that we totally know. We think it's all new signups, but I think there might be some other filtering criteria, like if the group signs up or something.
Yeah, and I didn't know, since you were experimenting with trials lately, if you had found that logic, because I've looked and I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, ask Sam, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's like an A/B test running, and so the logic you're seeing is actually in Launch Darkly, which is why you're not finding it in the source code. So yeah, definitely check in with him.
I know they use our internal A/B testing tool as well, so there could be, it's either in Launch Darkly or somewhere else. But yeah, I think you're exactly right, Daniel.
Cool. Michael, the other question I answered, it needs to stay private, so you don't need to address that one, and we're at time.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the time and look forward to